Welcome to Create with Chris. Today we're going to be talking about a new product in our stencil line called Stencilettes. So it's a fun product. I think you're going to be amazed at all the different things that you can do with the Stencilettes and why everybody needs one in your painting stash. I am Chris Hoy. Welcome. I am the owner and founder of Cupboard Distributing, Pixelate Palette, and CD Stencils. And we're going to get started. Golly, nothing like getting started off with a literal bang, because it really went bang. Alrighty, let's go over here. These are our Stencilettes. Let me flip completely over. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want you to get a close-up view of these fantastic little stencils. And I believe they're about 4 inches in size, but they come in a package of 5 different designs, and this is our first set that we came out with. The diamonds, the flowers, the little bubbles, the flourish design, and then the dot fade. And one of the things that really inspired us to go this direction is how much little design is used to create patterns and adding all those decorative elements. And I had our stencil crew cut out some of these smaller shapes for me so I could use them in my patterns. And it just became much more cost effective to create a little section of each one as opposed to having a great big stencil and then using small sections of it. Does that make sense? And that way you have all these different designs, nice little workable shape, and they're super easy to keep track of. In fact, what I do is I have an envelope that I tape to the side of my brush bin, and then I just slip them in. And I was thinking you could probably even use the packaging that it comes with and just store them in that, because it keeps them really close at hand. The second set, I love these so much. I told them I needed another set, and these are more graphic shapes, I guess would be a good term for that. Everybody uses checkerboards, and this one has 3 really nice sizes on it that are just perfect. The little cable net, I've used that over and over, and who doesn't love little dots? The zigzag chevron is super popular, and stripes, and that one is also in 3 different sizes as well. So you may ask, well, those are really cute and would be fun to have, but why would I need them? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. I have some of my designs that, let me go back out. Oops, I think I went the wrong direction here. Oh, I did. Easter eggs. Oh my goodness. Everybody loves to decorate Easter eggs, but to actually sit down and do every single one, how much easier would it be to slap a floral design on? And can you see this? How pretty that turned out. All I did was I stenciled it with pink on the floral on top of the egg shape, and then I went back and added some little dots. I was excited how well it turned out. This one is the chevron. And I did some that were just maybe the old-fashioned way, but I love to use the stencils to add easy design as opposed to sitting there and doing all the dip dots. I just grab my little polka dot background stencil and I added the dots, and then I use my stylus to create little flowers around each one of those dots. Super quick, super easy, and I think it really turned out quite nice. The eggs were beautiful. Another one that I love to use these for we'll stay on the same little gnomey thing. Packages, decorative Christmas packages, little dots. Yes, you can use the stylus and dip dot these, but one thing about a stencil, when you use the stencil template to create the polka dots, it's super smooth. You don't have to worry about, when you dip dot, you get those little bumps, especially when you're putting ribbon over top. Stripes, oh, see how perfect these stripes are? I used the stripe stencil to create those perfect stripes. Also, while we're talking about stripes, I used the stripe stencil to create the grill on the front of the truck. Look how perfect that is. I probably, if I worked really hard, could create that perfectness. But I like to paint and just have fun and enjoy it. These simplify everything so much and make it so easy to look good. And I think that whenever we find a tool that we can use to elevate our level of our quality of painting very easily, that's always a big, big plus. And to use stencils to do that, we use our skills to go back and add the shading and highlighting, which is really what elevates this to that impressive level. But why work so hard on these simple elements when we can go ahead and use a tool to create that look very easily? The packages, again, I use the little stripe stencil to add the stripes on the packages. And I even thought I could create this gingham look, and I'll show you how I did that as well on this package. I thought that turned out really, really cute. Oh, and another one. I've been having so much fun with these little stencilettes. Let me zoom in or go out just a little bit. This is my little bunny that I just painted up. He's adorable. And it has in the ears that little bit of a cable knit, and that is from the second set of stencils. And all I did was use this on the ears. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little better. When I painted the ears, they just look kind of plain. But after I added this in, and you think, well, it's really small, but what's nice is that they are repetitive, which means that I can stencil this area and then move it down and stencil a continuous line without having, sometimes you see those breaks or they don't match up, but it makes it super easy. Well, I did the bigger size on the ears, but when I did the little feet, and you can tell, let me move him down here. I did the same bigger size on the feet, but when I did these little pads, they were just a little bit too small to use this big cable knit in, so I bumped it down to that little size. Isn't that adorable? It just worked out so well. I was really excited that it turned out so well, and it was so easy to do. I did stencil the flowers, but they were the bigger size. I think we have a bigger flower stencil that I used on this. Just a super good way to add the design elements in there. And then I use my decorative painting skills to dress it up and make it look impressive. And I think that's always what we kind of strive for, is to create that look of intricate detail, but not spending hours and hours and hours creating it. On this little frog, I gotta get Halloween in here too. I used the bubble stencil, but I just kind of used different sizes and added it around. So you don't have to use it as is. You can use different elements of this little design. And one thing I really like about this small size, I don't know how many of you are, I always struggle when I'm painting with a big stencil. I always end up getting it into my paint palette. You know how the corner of it gets in there, and then you flip your stencil around and you have this weird color that shows up all over everything. One thing nice about the small stencil is that it's easier to control. You don't have any long edges sticking out into your paint palette, or it's just easier to manipulate, and I love this size. I even went down, I don't know if you can see on this one, after I finished painting it, I went back and stenciled it, but I put the stencil back down, and then I went over it with a little bit of Starlight varnish and added some glamour dust, so I could isolate those little bubbles and add that sparkle in there very easily. Just a super easy way to add all these design elements. I wanted to show you how nice it is to work with. And I went ahead and I just took an oval, pretend it's an egg, but I took an oval shape and I just stenciled a quick design on there. And I will show you how easy it is.
Did it fly?
When the iPad flew off, my brushes decided to go on the floor too. Nothing like getting prepared and then having it total chaos. Okay, so I just took and stenciled a pink oval on there, and I want to put a design on it, and I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of a flower. Let me zoom in just a teeny bit more.
And what brush are you using to stencil with?
Okay, this is Chris's Spectacular Stencil Brush, and I worked for about 2 years developing this brush. It's a super soft bristle, which means that when I stencil, I get more of a soft, almost a dry brush effect, but I can also get that opacity as well. So it works either way, as a stencil brush, as a dry brush, perfect for cheeks. The super soft bristles are going to give you a very delicate, soft touch, which I absolutely love. And then also, if you want it solid, you can go back over it. 2 coats is always better than 1 heavy coat, but probably my favorite feature is the fact that because this bristle is such a soft, flexible bristle, that if I want to change colors, I just simply wash it out and towel dry it. I don't have to wait until the brush is dry before I go to another color. And because I'm not particularly patient, I love to be able to clean my brush, wipe it off, and just keep on moving. I think that is such a fantastic feature on this brush. I don't have to have 5 brushes out to paint 5 colors. I just clean it and go. Alrighty, so I want to add some flowers on this, and I'm just going to move it around. I can get probably 4 good flowers on there, but I don't want to get stenciling on the outside edge. So I'm just going to take my egg stencil, I'm going to position it right on top, just like that, and tape it down. Now I know I can safely stencil my little daisies on there. And I'm just going to get a little bit of Snow White. And where's my little brush? I'm going to load my brush up. I like to load it up really well so that I have a fair amount of paint in my bristles. Turn a little bit more light on over here. Work it into my brush, but I don't want to have a mess on my palette. And there's only 2 reasons that stenciling does not turn out. Number 1, your brush is overloaded, too wet, maybe there's 3. Your brush is too wet, overloaded, or you have moisture in your brush and it's gonna run under. So I've loaded my brush. I'm just gonna gently wipe it over a paper towel to remove any excess off the tips of the bristles. And then I can either dry brush or pounce. And because I'm using Snow White, I'm gonna pounce a little bit because I need heavier coverage. If you overwork it and pounce super hard, you're gonna just push it right under the edge of the stencils. I was teaching my granddaughter how to stencil, and I told her stenciling is like a life lesson. You just have to be patient and take your time. Rushing does not make it work any better. So I can lift up my stencils, and I have it perfectly positioned inside, nothing on the outside, just that easy. Now I am going to give it a quick dry here. I'm just going to return my stencil. Actually, I'm going to clean it off a little bit because I don't want to get... Usually I wait a little bit longer in between applications, but I wanted to kind of speed it up. And you know what happens when you hurry. Sometimes that isn't always the best scenario. I'm going to put this back down. I'm just going to tape it in place. Keep that. Couple reasons. I've got a little short edge here. I don't want to get paint on the outside of my stencil. And it also keeps my stencil from moving around. Getting a little bit of darker red. This is, the pink was, I think, vintage pink. I don't know, it's not here anymore either, so I think it went flying as well. Okay, but the color I'm getting ready to use now is watermelon slice. All right, I'm just gonna get a little bit on my brush. Again, I'm just gonna work it in, and you'll be able to see I'm gonna wipe the excess off. And this is the same way I do cheeks. I just wipe even a little bit more off. I'm just going to start around the outside of the egg. I'm just going to gently swirl all the way around. And can you see what a beautiful shading that is on there? Super easy, it looks perfect. I did not have it quite lined up correctly, so that's what happens when you hurry. My granddaughter would say, "Grandma, you didn't wait." And I can either add a little dip dot on the center of these flowers, but I think what I want to do is just use the handle end of my brush. And I'm using Sunny Day, and I can just go back in and add a little dip dot.
The line showing on the paper is the texture of the paper, correct?
Yes, I am using paper as opposed to wood. And I did that for a couple reasons. When you use paper, it soaks in a little quicker, and I can go back and work a little quicker when I'm doing demos. And I'm using the handle end on my brush because I want a bigger dip dot. Isn't that a cute little egg? Super easy with the stencil. And then you can also go back and fuss a little bit more with it if you like to add. I would have normally went back and added a second coat on the flower petals because I like the way that they come out just a little bit brighter. Okay, so that's how I use the overlay to create the eggs, but I wanted to show you how I created that look of a gingham on the package. So I went ahead and stenciled a little package on here, and this is foliage green. Just going to go in with my stencil. Now I can put it here in the middle, but I have an edge on the left and an edge on the top. So just lining it up with the left side, and I did bump it down a little bit from the top, but I don't want to get it over here, so I can go back with my square stencil. Just going to reposition that right over top of the package. And I have that centered on there. And I want to add a very soft, kind of a gingham plaid. The base is a light foliage green. Went back with plantation pine, load my brush. And I want to just kind of pull it across. I'm not swirling it, I'm just going to pull it across. And then I'll start from the other direction. Until I get just a soft dry brush on there. Doesn't look like much, but when I lift the stencil, you can see it's quite dark. To create the up and down gingham, I'm just going to position it, and I would repeat it all the way down. And then I would buffer it with the square stencil. And just go up and down with that one as well. And I love this. Voila, we've got just a beautiful little plaid. Doesn't take much. This is probably a little, I didn't close the bottom up. This is what happens if you're not careful. So pay attention to all perimeters of your stenciling. But a beautiful little plaid stencil. Now, if I want to go back and add a bow on there, I love to put bows on packages. Just pick out whatever size bow I want to put on there. I'm going to bump it over just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to use the one I've already been using here. I'm going to line the bottom up. I just told you need to use that bottom edge. Line that up. I'm going to line the top up as well. And I can go back. And I'm not sure this watermelon slice is going to cover that green up really well. If you don't want to mess with tape, you can use other templates to just kind of mask that off. And these are my Painter's Pals. Okay, that is going to be a little bit transparent. But you can see I can paint that perfect bow in there. Go ahead and add my little these are my little ribbon tails. And I wouldn't recommend painting on this paper without sealing it because it really grabs the paint. Then all I need to go is go back with a little bit of shading and highlighting. Fuss up that bow a little bit. And I'm just grabbing a little bit of white. Pull that down, go across here. Pull that down. Need another little coat of red on there to really make that. I have some darker red, actually. darker red here. Put a little bit of shading on the bottom. The base of each one of those loops. And go back and fuss with it a little bit, and it becomes a really pretty little. I've got to fuss with it right now because I'm not looking real good here. This paper's a challenge.
Marty wants to know, what do you use to clean your stencils?
Okay, to clean your stencils, I usually try to keep them, if you have wet wipes, I wipe over it right away. If you don't have wet wipes, just take a damp paper towel and brush over it. I want you to see a bow that doesn't look so horrible. If the paint dries on your stencil, you can always take a little bit of hand sanitizer, wipe over it, loosen it. Also, I have found that Awesome is a really good paint remover, and it will take dried paint off of stencils as well. I have
And the Deco Art brush and stencil cleaner too, right?
Deco Art brush and stencil cleaner. I have a template that I've had for a while. The paint is completely dry on it. And if I take a little bit of hand sanitizer and just rub over it, it will dissolve that paint almost immediately. You see it lift off. I don't know that I clean my stencils every time, obviously not, because this one's a mess. But it's such a great way just to keep your tools clean every now and then, just to go in and lift off that excess paint. And look at that. I mean, it's almost just like brand new. Just takes a minute.
Hand sanitizer works wonders.
It is kind of amazing.
And
So,
everyone has it.
right, we all have a big stash of it right now. So this is such a fun little set of stencils. I hope that your creative juices are flowing, and you are thinking, oh yeah, these would be such great little tools to add to the painter's kit, because I probably use them every time I paint, because they are so handy, and they just provide quick. I've gotten them all mixed up here. I went through and marked each one so I would know what went where.
Okay, that top row is right.
This is correct. This is
What's on the
set
screen?
1 and set 2. What am I missing, Lindsay? The bubbles. No, the bubbles are
Wait.
here.
The stripes?
The stripes are here.
And
I've
the
got the
sweater.
chevron. The sweater knit
Yeah, that's
is,
it.
okay.
Just 5 in a set.
Okay, the sweater knit is the other one here that I don't have. And these are probably the ones that I use the most out of all the stencil. Maybe I would call these basic design elements. And I think that every time I get ready to add design, these are the shapes I struggle with the most. Diamond shapes, circles, perfectly placed dip dots, stripes, definitely stripes. I'd use this one probably for everything. And I was surprised how much I use this little cable knit. Oh, I wanted to show you too. This is a bigger one, but I use this for the tread on a tire. Is that not the cutest little tire tread you ever saw? Super easy. I was kind of struggling with what to do on the tire, and that was just perfect and easy. Chevrons, great little tools to have. Did I miss anything, Lindsay, on that?
It probably should be noted that there'll be other sets in the future.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a very creative group here, and we're always trying to figure out ways to make painting more fun, more productive, scoot over a little bit. More fun, more productive, and the results a little more impressive. So this is a great way to add quick design without struggling so much, and to make projects look really, really nice. I was super excited with, especially like this little bunny feet. Such a great way to create that and not have to. Can you imagine how long that would take to do that with a paintbrush? And we've all done it before. I'm not saying that we can't do it, but why? You know, if we have the tools to make our life flow a little bit smoother, I think that's what painting is all about.
You might want to talk about our YouTube channel.
Okay, if you get a chance, go to our YouTube channel. It's Cupboard Distributing's YouTube channel, or Create with Chris. I do have some free classes on there, and also more coming up. So take a peek at that. If you like it, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe. That helps me out as well. And also, we have quite a few new projects coming up. I've done a lot of new designs. We have a tremendous amount of new product on the horizon I'm super excited about, and we'll be sharing that with you very shortly. So,
Lots of new stencils.
oh yeah, Patriotic's coming up, and I think those are going to be released tomorrow. So be sure to check CD Stencils to see the new Patriotic stencils. They are awesome, and I'm hoping to get some samples painted up. But if you ever get your samples finished and want to share them, we would be so happy to see them all. And I'm sure there's some really great designs out there that use our product that
Let's see.
we can
Nancy
share.
wants to know how to subscribe. If you go to our YouTube channel, Nancy, it should tell you, there would be like a little box that says subscribe.
Yeah, there's a
or
little
something.
bell you ring, and then right beside the little bell you ring, there's a little box to subscribe. And hopefully, keeping my hubby in good health, we'll be able to get a lot more painting finished and some more classes up there. And I love to share the tips and tricks, so keep an eye out for that. Is that it? Okay, make sure that you keep an eye out on Facebook. I'm planning another little technique next Tuesday, and then I think the following Tuesday I'll have another class
You
available.
can't do it next Tuesday because it's our live.
Oh, okay, Wednesday, next Wednesday. But we will put the notices up on Facebook as well. So, okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Be sure to check out the YouTube channel, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.